Just a few months ago, we saw the Dallas Mavericks take on the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals, where we ultimately did lose in 5 games to the Boston Celtics. And there's one thing that a lot of Mavericks fans did notice in that series is our lack of offense, where even though Luka Doncic wasn't shooting that well from the three-point line, it seems like no one could find a bucket. And in the words of Nico Harrison, he believes that the Dallas Mavericks were one Klay Thompson away from winning an NBA Finals. So what does he do? He goes out and he gets one Klay Thompson to help us not just make it back to the finals, but to win the finals. But for some reason, there's some fans out there that believe that Klay Thompson shouldn't be a starter and should actually come off the bench. So in this video, we're going to take a look at what some of you guys are saying about Klay Thompson. We're going to see why some of you believe that Klay Thompson should come off the bench, as well as I'll give my own thoughts on the matter on whether or not I think Klay Thompson should be a starter or come off the bench. But how's it going, everybody? My name is Marcel Martin. This is Mavs Digest, bringing the latest news on everything Mavericks related. And before we start with today's video, we hit the goal, guys. We're at 13,020 subs at the time of this recording. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for showing my channel so much love and support over the last few months. I try to bring you guys the best and the greatest Dallas Mavericks content. And without the support of you guys, I don't think any of this could be possible. So I just want to say thank you. But even though I do appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel and showing me nothing but love, some of you guys out there truly do have some very hot takes regarding some of the players, including Klay Thompson. Like I said in the intro, some of you think that Klay Thompson should come off the bench. If we take a look at what some of you guys are saying, I mean, if we just look at Twitter, this user said, Klay Thompson always looks broke. Dude is a multi-millionaire, Hall of Fame, several championships, etc., and walks around with a scowl, miserable and pissed off at the world. He's not going to be happy anywhere, especially coming off the bench in Dallas? Okay, well, what else are other people saying? From Dinwiddie Muse, it's saying that Klay Thompson will be coming off the bench and won't be second option. We good. I'm not too sure. I mean, Twitter is a very odd place. People there have some of the hottest takes I've ever seen, so I'm not too worried about what people on Twitter are saying. Klay Thompson is exactly how that one user said. He's a Hall of Famer. He will be in the Hall of Fame. He's a multi-millionaire. That's very true. He also won a couple championships, 4 rings to be exact. He'll probably put up 4 on the bench to the other team next season. You can definitely bet he's going to do that. And he's a 5-time All-Star in his career. Klay Thompson is by no means washed. And a lot of people, the sentiment that I've seen ever since we went out and got Klay Thompson is that he's washed, that he's injury prone, that he can't play defense. And even if any of those are true, I'd probably give you some credit to the defense. He's not the same Klay that he was in his prime. He's not that 3-and-D lockdown defender, but he's not a traffic cone neither. He's definitely an upgrade from Tim Hardaway Jr., who couldn't play defense even if he actually committed to defense. I think Klay Thompson, if he takes the same amount of shots as someone like Tim Hardaway, you get a better three-point shooter, you get more scoring, and you can argue that his defense is better. So in that aspect, with that thought process, yes, Klay Thompson is a clear upgrade. We had Tim Hardaway Jr. starting for a few times, for a few seasons with the Dallas Mavericks. So having Klay Thompson, who is older, but still has a lot to give, still has a lot of gas left in the tank, especially someone who may not be the second option like that other Twitter user said. But I think that Klay Thompson will be a great third option for the Dallas Mavericks. And if we just take a minute and just look at his stats from last season, we can see that Klay Thompson was able to put up 17.9 points, 3.3 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 0.5 blocks, 0.6 steals, had 1.5 turnovers, and 1.6 fouls per game, while shooting 43% from the floor and 38% from 3. He's 6'6", he's 34 years young, he shoots 39% on corner threes, and after we lost Josh Green, who's someone who is one of our premier corner 3 shooters, having a replacement in Klay Thompson means that our offense is only going to get that much better. 93% of his threes are assisted, which is also going to play great for Dallas because we generate the most open looks from the three-point line. Kyrie and Luka are masters at just controlling the floor, controlling the spacing, as well as the pace of the offense, and Klay Thompson will feast in this offense that won't rely heavily on him, that we can put Klay Thompson in a corner. If Luka and Daniel Gafford or Kyrie and Derrick Lively want to do a pick and roll, an alley-oop, go right ahead. Klay Thompson will sit there right in the corner, who shoots about 38-39% on his corner threes, and will wait patiently for whenever Luka drives and kicks out, or if Kyrie drives and kicks out. Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic have a weapon on their hands with Klay Thompson, and unlike in Golden State, where he had a bigger role, he was their second option for the majority of his career. And then towards the end, before he got traded with those injuries and everything, and also when they drafted Brandon Podziemski, It seemed like Golden State was ready to move on from Klay Thompson. They actually wanted Klay Thompson to back up Brandon Podziemski if he were to return this upcoming season. But Klay Thompson is a starter, and I truly believe that he will be a starter for the majority of his games here. But I understand why some fans feel like maybe Klay Thompson should come off the bench, or maybe sometime down the road in the middle of the season or towards the end of the season that maybe someone else starts and Klay Thompson come off the bench. And if we just continue with what some of the people are saying, I put out a little poll on the channel asking, who are you most likely, or who are you looking forward to next season that comes off the bench? And I had a few options. I had Najee Marshall, Quentin Grimes, Daniel Gafford, Jaden Hardy, and other. And some people said Klay, like this user, potentially Klay. But he wasn't the only one. We had someone else saying, hot take, Klay Thompson, where someone chimed in saying he's a starter. Obviously, and they responded saying, I'm predicting that won't last long. And to play devil's advocate, I can see why some people think that Klay Thompson either should come off the bench or later down the road, middle of the season, he will. And if we just take a look right here, I'm all over the place. We have some interesting splits for Klay Thompson last season. In 14 games off the bench, Klay averaged 19.8 points while shooting 46.4% from the floor, 42.8% from three, and 95% from the free throw line, averaging 2.9 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and 27.4 minutes per game. As a starter, Klay averaged 17.4 points, shooting 42.5% from the floor, 37.7% from three, and 92.1% from the free throw line, while averaging 3.4 rebounds, 2.3 assists, and 30 minutes per game. So, with those splits, if you look at this alone, I mean, 14 games, you can argue that's a small sample size. Some of you may argue that, well, that could be an indicator that that's where he could thrive in that much smaller role, where I'd argue that in Dallas, he won't have a huge role. He is a added weapon. He is not a Luka Doncic. He's not a Kyrie Irving who will take over and command games. Klay Thompson will be used as a weapon. We won't be looking for Klay Thompson to facilitate an offense, maybe not too much depending on injuries and rotations and lineups, and I understand that. But Klay Thompson will be a player that we may go to take the last shot in the game to help us close out games. Klay Thompson, again, still has a lot to give to a championship team. And if we look, and I'll pull it back up, if we look at the splits, those 14 games, you could argue that's a smaller role that he flourished in. And again, with the Dallas Mavericks, even as a starter, you could say that that's the same role that he had coming off the bench in Golden State. You're not the number one. You may or may not even be the number two, but you're definitely our number three, which is a great third option. Someone that shoots that well from three, someone that can get to the line and shoot over 90% from the free throw line. There may be games this upcoming season where Klay Thompson could be arguably our best player on the offense on any given night. I know we didn't see that a lot last year with Luka and Kyrie. I think there was only maybe one game that Luka played where he wasn't the leading scorer, but if it wasn't Luka, it was Kyrie, and it didn't come from that often. But in this upcoming season, where guys are starting to gel, where the chemistry is just right, some players may just shine for a night or two. Maybe not for a long stretch of games, but there could be a matchup against a team where Klay Thompson is our saving grace, where he cannot miss a single shot, where the defense just doesn't respect him and his three-point ability and is able to knock down those shots. But I do want to put this up here, I can find it here, that Shams says that, Shams on Klay Thompson's role with the Dallas Mavericks, saying that he will be the guaranteed starter there. He's going to be guaranteed whatever it is, 28 to 30 minutes plus a night. I think that was very important for Klay, playing the minutes he wants to play, and we did see over the trade deadline, over free agency, when we went and got Klay Thompson, we did find out that was the draw. That was the cherry on top to come to Dallas. Not only are you getting arguably less taxes and more money by taking less money with the Dallas Mavericks, you will be a starter. And if he is playing 20 to 30 minutes a night as a starter for the foreseeable future, if anything happens, that could always change. But for right now, Klay Thompson is going to be our starter, playing arguably about 28 to 30 minutes a game. I think he will be great for us. I think Jason Kidd definitely has his work cut out, because when you have a great player like Klay Thompson, you don't want to squander that. You don't want to have all the right pieces and just don't know what to do. And I feel like that's how it's kind of felt with the Dallas Mavericks, especially with Luka Doncic. When you have great players and you fail and you don't have the success that you should have, you start to look like you don't know what you're doing. But after we made it to the NBA Finals, I think Jason Kidd should have convinced a lot of the doubters that he does know what he's doing. But he has, like I said, he has a lot on his hands. He's got a lot to work with this upcoming season. The rotations can look all types of ways. But if we do just look at who could replace Klay Thompson if he were to come off the bench, let's take a look at the depth chart, right? Klay Thompson will be our starting small forward, and his backup is Najee Marshall. So if we have a starting lineup of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Najee Marshall, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, I actually don't hate that. I think that's a pretty good lineup. If we just want to play devil's advocate, see both sides of the fence, Najee Marshall as a starter alongside PJ Washington would be amazing against teams that have just very dominant wings. There are a few teams out there that Klay Thompson may not be able to play the best defense against, where we may need someone like Najee Marshall and PJ Washington. I mean, obviously Kyrie plays the 2, Najee would play the 3, but if you want to somehow just put PJ Washington, who can defend wings, and alongside Najee Marshall, I'm all for it. Now, obviously, as a power forward, PJ will be defending other forwards. But if you just wanted added defense, yes. And Najee Marshall can also play make. He can pass the ball very well. His three-point shooting has improved. So sure, why not? You put Najee Marshall in the starting lineup for Klay Thompson, and then your second unit will most likely look like Spencer Dinwiddie, Quentin Grimes, Klay Thompson, Maxi Kleber, Derrick Lively, which I don't have a problem with. And this depth chart, I want to say, is not up to date because Derrick Lively is going to be the starting center. So it would really be Spencer Dinwiddie, Quentin Grimes, Klay Thompson, Maxi, as well as Daniel Gafford, which is also pretty good. Maybe not the most defensive lineup, but for a second unit, I definitely do like that. I mean, Klay Thompson as a starter or coming off the bench will be good for us. It's a good problem to have when you have players that you can just plug and play, that they can play very well as a starter if you're playing behind Luka and Kyrie, but still thrive. And it's also nice to know that if I got to put you with the bench unit, you will be the best player on the floor against the other team's bench, which may force the other teams into rotations and lineups that they're not used to, which could actually work in our favor down the road. I mean, it's up to Jason Kidd, like I said, to work with what he's given, and I'd argue that this is the best roster he has ever had so far with the Dallas Mavericks, and we cannot squander this. We got to make it back to the finals. We got to at least take it 7 games in the finals. I don't want to lose in 5. If I'm going to lose, it better be in 7. We better go down swinging. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I know some of you do think that Klay Thompson should come off the bench, but if you truly do believe that, let me know down below. We can have a conversation. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for making this far into the video. Make sure to check out our Twitter and Discord. Links in the description below. Consider becoming a channel member. We are doing Fantasy League basketball for this upcoming season, and the only way to be entered into our Fantasy League is to be part of our second membership tier or higher, and there should be a link in the description on how to get there. But until next time, y'all take care. Drink water. Peace.